Good morning. I'm Reverend, oh, good morning. Forgot about that. I'm Reverend Christina Branum-Martin, and it's so good to be with you today. I'm the interim minister here at the fellowship. It's so lovely to see new faces and old friends. And?
Hello. I'm Bill Brule, and I'm happy to be here and honored. Thank you. I'm this morning's worship associate. We welcome you this morning to our annual Ingathering and water ceremony service. This is a special day at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Clemson. If this is your first day here, welcome. We are glad you are here.
Almost all Unitarian Universalist congregations traditionally hold a similar service like this, an ingathering which honors that this is the beginning of the year that revolves around school and academia, and certainly being here in Clemson, we have that sense of the schedule here. Some congregations and many who historically did not have air conditioning would shut down in the summer. And therefore, they'd have an outgathering in May and an in-gathering after Labor Day. And so even though we meet all year, thankfully, we are traditionally holding this service as a way to begin again together.
So this Sunday, as summer draws to a close, we celebrate a time of transition, a season of change, one of the hinges of the year. The calendar says it's still summer. Our minds read the seasons more clearly. The sudden flocking of birds, the subtle spots of red on the maple, the feel of cool air in the early morning. And we know summer's nearly ended.
While our hearts still cling to warm sunlight and to the green, verdant trees that certainly fill our parking lot, we also know that our days are still long and our short nights are here. But today is a day to pause and to reflect on renewal.
As is our custom, we welcome each other back to the world of responsibilities, to the homebound and to the work-bound joys and duties of autumn and winter.
And today we will bring water from our lives. We'll bring water from all our homes in which we live, and we also will bring water from our sojourns about. And having our water come from different paths is a reminder that we all are one.
A couple of announcements. For those going to the Reproductive Rights Rally this Tuesday, August 30th, assemble at 8:30 here in the morning. There is, what is that, a trip?
There's a carpool here to the Capitol.
Yeah, they're going to the Capitol, but everybody will meet in the social room.
They're going to meet in the parking lot at 8:30.
Okay.
And there's a sign.
Let's see if I can get the next one right. Note the link about the search survey. It's at the bottom of today's service. And last night, we began our happy hour movie night. Put it on your list for the future.
I think it's actually this Saturday, isn't it? It was last night? Oh, well, you got that one right.
And here's the important one. I got this one right, I know. Go to the new website, folks. The link is simple, just www.uufc.org, and see what's been done. It's a great new website.
We'd like to applaud the work and efforts of Susie Marcus, who put together the new website. At this time, if you would take a moment to greet your neighbor, stand and wander around if you'd like, or turn to the person next to you. Thanks to us.
Oh, did I forget anything? Oh, this is later.
Later.
Okay.
My knees are younger than yours, but they're getting older. So we're going to sing now. Yeah? We're going to sing hymn number 1, May Nothing Evil Cross This Door. Number 1. I'd like to explain that that hymn, number 1 in the hymnal, is a house blessing. And we have now blessed this space. By coming back together for our ingathering, we have blessed this space to keep hate out and keep love in. We're going to light the chalice now, and Bill's going to help me. We light this chalice as a symbol of reunion. We reunite in this fellowship to share the flow of our hearts with one another. We gather together in ritual to celebrate the fountains of joy, to hold each other through storms of grief, and to guide one another through rapids of transformation, and to rest together in the ponds of stillness. Together we honor the spirit of water today, as it changes in many forms and offers its life-giving essence. Would you join with me in our words of affirmation in your order of service? We gather together, spirit of love, with justice as our guide. This is our chosen covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth with freedom, and to care for one another. I'm going to come forward and tell a story. And this story, would you like to come forward? Because I'm going to be looking right into your eyes when I tell this story. Do you want to come up here? Okay. Does anyone else want to come up? You don't have to. All right. I'm so glad you're here. Okay, now this story is from a long time ago. It's a Sufi story, and it's called The Little Stream Called to the Sea. And it goes like this. Once, there was a little stream that dreamed of flowing to the sea. Now, that little stream started underground in an aquifer, and it came up into a huge pool on the top of the ground. But the call of the ocean, he heard it. He said, the ocean is calling me. So that little bitty stream that turned into a pool of water pushed its way forward, all the way through nooks and crannies and mountains and hills and up through the earth. And as its water bubbled forward, it ran down a hill and it carved a stream bed into the earth. That was hard to say. Now, sometimes that stream babbled and sang as it went on its way, and its waters were so clear that you could see the fish swimming in the stream. Sometimes it tumbled as it went forward over a cliff, like a big waterfall. Have you ever seen a waterfall? Yeah? And then that little stream joined with other streams, and it became a river. And a river's bigger, right? Yeah. It still wanted to go to the sea. It didn't know why, but it knew that it felt this call to the sea inside. And sometimes that river would run fast and deep, eager to reach the sea. And then one day, just as the call of the ocean seemed to grow a bit stronger, that stream got to the edge of the desert. Now, is there a lot of water in the desert? Not a lot of water in the desert. It found itself stuck in an area of mud. Now, the mud was wet, and it was part of it, but it wasn't moving very quickly, and it got kind of stuck, and he said, "Oh, woe is me. Now I'll never get to the sea." And it tried to go around the desert, but the desert was too big, too wide. It even thought maybe I could go under the desert, but it was too deep. But still, even with mud in his ears, he could hear the call of the ocean. And after what seemed a really long time, the stream just pooled there in the mud, in the sun. And then he heard of something. He heard this voice that said, "Come with me." "Come with me," said the wind. "I'll carry you to the shore." Well, the stream said to the wind, "How could you do that? You are only made of air." The wind whispered, "I can carry you on the breeze, but you must be very, very brave, because you must let go of yourself and change." That sounds kind of scary. And the stream said, well, on this journey I've been on, I have changed a lot of times. And the wind said, this one will be different. The little stream paused, but deep within, that stream still yearned for the sea, and so the stream let go. And the wind picked up the water as it evaporated into the sky. And at first, that stream was scared, for it felt lost. It was no longer a stream, but was turned sort of inside out and became moisture swirling in the sky. And that was a view the stream had never had before, looking down over the mountains. And then it looked all around and it saw that the particles of the water were sparkling in the air like jewels. And then it became part of a rainbow. It was truly beautiful. Next, the stream turned. Moisture saw that it was not alone. For the wind had whispered to other streams too, and ponds, and even the morning dew. And they had all turned into moisture in the sky. What happens when water collects in the sky? Does it make a cloud? Yeah, it makes a cloud. And together, that cloud started to fall. Plop, plop, plop. And all the droplets fell. And they fell into a mighty river rushing down the mountainside. It had passed the desert and then rushed off into the plain. And the little stream was happy. The little stream said, I was scared, but I trusted you, and you helped me do this. And he knew that whenever he came along a problem and he couldn't get to the ocean, that the wind would help him. And guess what? He went up into the clouds and came down and got closer and closer, and eventually he got to the sea. Now, I need your help. Could you come stand with me? We're going to teach something to this group you might know. We're going to teach you how to do a rainstorm. So follow me. We're going to make a rainstorm. Okay, so we start with our hands rubbing together. Then we start snapping. And then we clap. Louder. And then our feet. Then we clap. And then we snap. And then we rub. And then we're done. Thank you. Thank you.
It's always the best part for me when the children are up front. This is about our offerings, our gifts for the UUFC and the community. Every week in our church, we take up an offering of funds and food for the community. It's good to remind ourselves from time to time that offering, please. And that offering is symbolic as well as practical. We know that it is through pledges that we build our budget and fund our programs. and our ministries of worship and our religious education, and finance the comfort and beauty of this building. And we know that we could easily submit those pledge checks to the church at any time. But we pass the plate during our worship service to make a community expression of thanks for the blessing of abundance, to visibly bring in the harvest at this most cherished hour of our week. Our offering says that the act of giving is essential to our spiritual well-being, as much as anything else we do here on Sunday mornings. Also, this month's benevolence giving, which is 25% of all undesignated donations on Sunday morning, will go to the Family Promise of Pickens County. Their mission is to help low-income families achieve lasting independence. The morning offering has now been given and is received with gratitude.
What a great stack of green cards. So many things to share. First, I'd like to share a joy from Heidi. Ezra, our son, is doing another weekend visit and is helping Robert, his dad, with some long-needed sorting of record collections. And that is one of Robert's hobbies. Right. Would you put a stone in? Yes. And Meg has a joy that Ajmal has now had enough money for a root canal and an extraction, and he's just received another large donation, which will go a long ways towards the rest of the work. How wonderful. Demetra has a joy that the surgeon said that I am progressing well, and I can start walking short distances, and in 2 weeks, my brace can be removed, and I want to thank all of the UUFC walkers that walked Buddy, her sweet dog. He is spoiled now. He is not happy with my short walk down the street, and Buddy comes back moaning and whining. Another joy, Elaine Frendall said the choir is back. Please join us to rehearse most Mondays at 7. Another joy, Jennifer Reese, Jamie's first week of college. Woohoo! Yay. And Jamie shared with me that you're doing physiology and anatomy, and it's one of the hardest classes. You really knew how to start it off, didn't you? Yeah. And Tom Hebel has a joy that this Tuesday is my mom, Martha Hebel's birthday. Happy birthday. Would you put a stone in for the things that are not shared yet?
For those not shared.
Thank you. I like this teamwork. This is really nice.
Pretty well. A little rehearsal needed.
This is the time that we acknowledge that UUFC is officially in search for a new minister. We have started a new year, and the search team has been meeting, but we will commission them today, a little later in the service. I want to acknowledge that the theme of this coming year is change. You might have noticed I've mentioned it a little bit in the story. that sometimes leaning in to change is what's needed in order to deal with the anxiety that something is coming that's different. For the prayer and meditation today, I would like to share a poem about change. It's called River by Lynn Unger. So I invite you to take a deep breath and to find a comfortable spot in your chair. River. Everyone knows you cannot step in the same river twice. But really, the moment you submit to the cold and your toes hit the slippery rocks, the river you entered is already gone. The boulders have been there for eons, and the minnows dart about the shallows, but roughly speaking, remain. The river itself is nothing but movement, flowing like time in the only direction it can go. It moves without volition, without resistance, blessed by gravity to know where it must go. Your choice is more complicated, but not much. Don't imagine that you are immune to gravity or time. Take your pick. Your options are to stay safe and dry on the shore or slip into the current and be carried away. May we slip into the current and be carried away. May we do so with care and with grace, and may we do so together. This is our prayer today. May it be so.
When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. Take the short one.
Holly and I are going to help commission the ministerial search team. And we invite the members of the search team to come forward. Melissa Berger and Mary Orem, Leslie Visage, Dave Sanders, Karen York, and we have a surprise guest, Janie Shipley.
Nice picture.
So this is an important rite of passage in the life of this congregation and in the lives of the UUFC members who are elected to serve on the Ministerial Search Committee. No choice is more important to the future of a Unitarian Universalist congregation than its selection of a minister, if it chooses to have one. No process is more vital, and even, I will say, sacred in our tradition, because this is a process about democracy, about electing a search committee that identifies the needs and desires of the congregation and that engages in deep and extensive discernment process before recommending one minister that they believe is the best candidate for this congregation on the next stage of its journey. And this task is daunting. Some search committees do not go forth and choose a minister unless it's the right one. They do their best to engage the ministers in thoughtful and mutual exploration, for the stakes are high and the outcome is of vital importance.
We elected the search committee almost 2 years ago, thinking at this time we would have a new minister, and then the pandemic intervened. So this group has started meeting very regularly, and they're going to continue to do that over the months to come. The Unitarian Universalist Association offers guidelines for a search process that has served hundreds of congregations and ministers well over many years. It's within this process that our search committee has begun its work. We are grateful to you all for your dedication to this congregation and for your commitment to this long and at times intense process, and for organizing our potluck today. Yeah. We commit to respecting your integrity as you engage in the time-honored tradition of ministerial search. We commit to cooperating fully and participating freely as you seek to discern the needs and desires of our diverse congregation. We ask that you keep us informed about the process, even as you maintain strict confidentiality about the names of any ministers that you may be exploring with. We urge you to care for yourselves and each other, as well as for the tasks you have undertaken. May your service give you the satisfaction that comes from doing important work and doing it well. Congregation, will you now affirm your trust in this ministerial search committee, and do you pledge to cooperate with them and support them in their work? If so, say, we do.
We do. Search committee members, for this fellowship, this will be a year of leaning into change, much like our story today about the river, seeking its way to the sea. Come forward. Thank you. Joseph was waving his arms probably for a long time. For each of you as individuals, it begins with a journey of getting to know one another and your hopes and your dreams that you have for this fellowship. You have to learn each other's styles. You have to learn how to work together as a group. And that first leg of that journey is self-awareness. And it will become essential for you to find ways to work well with each other, however different your styles and your perspectives may be. And in the months to come, you'll be helping this congregation understand itself better and to discern what it wants and needs in the next ministerial leader. You will have the fascinating experience of learning about and communicating with a number of ministers who are in search for a new congregation too. I often say that the process is like speed dating from both directions. And you will be making an important decision when you choose a candidate that is based on your discernment about the ministers and this congregation. Do you each commit yourself to this essential work with your colleagues on the committee and for this fellowship? And if so, say we do.
We do.
Last, I want you to know that I am your interim minister, and I am bound ethically and will live up to the charge to me to not to discuss with the search committee members or any potential candidate for the congregation's ministry, even as the committee members are bound not to discuss with you about their process. But I'm here to serve as your minister during that time and to assist you in your process however needed. And in this role, I am giving you a gift. Now, some of your meetings will probably be by Zoom because you won't want to drive in for every meeting, but sometimes you do need to get together and really see each other's faces and look into each other's eyes and do that work. And when you do, you've got a search committee chalice, one that you can stick in your little bag. So I'm going to give it to you, Mary, to hold on to. May this chalice and its little bitty small flame help center you and light you on your way. And each time you light it, may you remember that the rest of us here are with you in spirit on this journey. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
So we are at a moment of momentous change. And as I come to reflect about that today, I've chosen to reflect on the other theme that's part of our morning, and that is water. Specifically, holy water. On our first date in the summer of 1954, yeah, that was it, Marty and I sat by a waterfall. Its pond was covered by a curious white foam. 1954. I was thirsty and I saw a dipper hanging from a tree. It was an invitation to drink. But I wondered about that white foam. Marty thought it could be a PFAS. PFAS? That's a chemical used by firemen. They probably wanted some of that water. It's also used in when we clean our teeth. It's used in most things that we live with. And it causes cancer. She knew that then. But we still use it today. We still poison our water with it today. I asked her if she thought it was safe if I took a sip. And she spoke with the devil in her eye, which she always did, and I did not take a drink, and we played as we always have. But water became our magnet. We rented our first home on Long Island on a canal and kept a boat in the water outside the house. Feasted on crabs and bluefish and striped bass. Years later, we lived on land in Pennsylvania and had to trail our boat if we wanted water for skiing or fishing or swimming. Then the siren song of water brought us back to teach and swim on Long Island until Lake Kiwi lured us here to Seneca. We bought a house on the water 21 years ago this week, docked the boat, sold the trailer, explored the lake, and discovered something we never knew. One of the largest electrical storage batteries in the world sits at the end of Lake Kiwi. Do you know that? It's a battery made of water. In fact, I've learned that 95% of stored energy in the United States is in water batteries. And one of the best is right here, storing power for our use every day. Go to the north end of Lake Kiwi, and you'll find the Bad Creek Hydro Station under this 367-acre Bad Creek Reservoir, which serves as that storage battery. Duke Power brings water down from Jocassee and pumps it uphill from Kiwi to that Bad Creek Reservoir, where it is held until needed, when the water is released, flowing downhill, turning turbines to generate water. The water had stored energy we needed. But water's more mysterious than we realize. We think water has 3 phases, right? Liquid, ice, and steam. But scientists will tell you, I'm sorry Carl isn't here today, water has 5 phases. The 4th phase is all around us and in us, and we didn't know it until the scientists discovered it in recent decades. They call it the liquid crystalline water, and it's in every part of you and me. Google the 4th phase of water. You'll find out that liquid crystalline water fills the cells in our bodies and plays a major role in everything our cells do and the things that they act upon. But there's also a 5th stage of water, but we won't see that one. It was discovered by a scientist from India and Albert Einstein back in the 1920s. They discovered that if you freeze water to almost 0, 460 degrees below Fahrenheit, where nothing moves, the molecules in water clump together and form one gigantic molecule. Think of Kiwi as one gigantic molecule, blue molecule. It would be like a colossal, fearsome thing stranger than anything we know. But it'd be water. Terrifying water. We just don't swim or drink or cook or wash with water. Remember, before we were born, we swam in our mother's bellies. We live because of water, and today, people all over the world endure desperate days, searching for a drink or a bucketful, enough to survive. The worst droughts in history, they're in the paper every day. We're all reading about them. They're affecting Spain, Italy, Argentina, Central Asia, and the western part of the USA. But here in South Carolina, you and I are protected by our geography, which generally brings abundant water, generally, not always. In addition, we upstaters have 3 wonderful man-made lakes, Jocassee, Kiwi, and Hartwell. The biggest, Hartwell, has over 900 miles of shoreline for water to lap up against. Lake Kiwi is pretty impressive too. It has 18,500 acres of water. I was once told that if the population of Greenville took all the water it needed from Kiwi, it would need only a ½ inch off the top. We're lucky we have lots of water. Last month, however, I flew west and spent a week with my daughter and her husband in Santa Cruz, south of San Francisco. It's a great place. Beautiful green forests all around them. The media out there were full of stories, you've been reading them every day, about the lack of water, about forest fires aggravated by dry air, about shrinking lakes like Lake Mead, which has lost 75% of its water, about rivers drying up like the Columbia, about underground aquifers that have lost so much water that the land above them has in some place sunk 100 feet. On Google, I learned that the water allocation of southern Nevada has been reduced by 7 billion gallons, enough water to serve 45,000 homes. You know what that means? In our Oconee County, there are roughly 34,000 homes, households. If we had a situation like the one in Nevada, Oconee would become dried up, sterile, brown, and empty desert. A Sierra Club activist near Santa Cruz told me that 99% of the West now endures the worst drought in 1,500 years. 1,500 years. People out there are talking about ranches and industrial farms in the West moving east to produce the animals and produce we want. But my daughter Alexandra and her husband Michael and I slept comfortably on their deck, which overlooks the green forest of hardwood and pine that surrounds their home an hour south of San Francisco. We awoke with the sun, embraced by damp mists off the Pacific Ocean that watered their region every day. So they seemed to have enough, but maybe not. I learned that while I pay $18 a month for water from Kiwi, they pay $400 a month for that bit of mist from the Pacific Ocean that drops off their trees. 400. I didn't dare tell them, but I can also pump water free out of Kiwi. But I don't. I took this little container with me. Remember where we were given these? This is one of them. To bring back water from my vacation, the Pacific. On my last day in Santa Cruz, I realized I had not gone down to the beach to get my ocean water as I had planned. Standing in Zandra's kitchen, I realized I had learned something important out there. I had learned that water, whether from any ocean or from the rivers and lakes and aquifers that were drying up around the world, water was all the same, H2O, the same water in liquid phase of the Bose-Einstein phase or the kitchen tap. It took a minute for all that to sink in. Then I turned on Alexandra's kitchen tap and took just enough to fill half this little plastic container. This is it. This is kitchen water from Santa Cruz. I realized that good water in any phase, from that pond we went to on our first date, to any kitchen or lake or river or aquifer or ocean, is sometimes hard to find, but it is always holy. This is holy water from a kitchen tap. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill, for the reminder that water is finite and precious, and that water is the central element of life itself. It is the life force of the interdependent web of life that we are all a part of. And today we bring water from the past into our present, on the journey into the future. We are going to blend it together in this bowl. This bowl was a gift from Terry Bailoff, who was the prior minister as she was leaving for the water ceremonies of the years to come. And today we are invited to blend our waters together and to accept and acknowledge the change that we are in, and to be invited to accept change in our lives with grace. So in a moment, you'll be invited to come forward and pour your water in. And if you don't have water with you, see that there's water there to represent the water in your life. You can use that. And Bill, would you pour in the water from last year?
Yes.
One of the things that's really lovely is that we have water from years past. So a little bit of this water has water from years before. Thank you. And after the service, we will save a little bit of the water. I'll add a tiny bit of vinegar to keep it from getting yucky. And we'll put the rest out in the garden to return it back to the earth. And we are going to incorporate these boards into the ceremony. Let me explain what they are. You can paint on these boards with the water that's in the well. Yes, and Bill is going to demonstrate that the lovely thing with this brush is it paints on the board, but soon after, it starts to evaporate. And so I invite you to use this water to place your intention for this year to come, and to do so with a commitment to this community, this fellowship, and the acceptance of change in our life together and in your life. And maybe it will be the letters of the state you went to where you brought your water from, or maybe it will be a symbol of something. Just make a small mark and have that meaning imbue itself onto the board. And I will start by pouring some water and making my own symbol, because I forgot my container. That was lovely. Thank you for participating and for entertaining me as I introduced these boards. It was something that I had been dreaming up, so thank you. Let us stand and sing number 1028, The Fire of Commitment. I share our closing words by Kaylee Rice, and Bill will extinguish the chalice for me in just a moment. Kaylee writes, "It starts with a drop, and then a trickle, a burble, a rush of water, bubbling towards its destination, and finally the wide, endless sea. All rivers run to the sea, and today you brought water, and you poured it into a common bowl. And though our experiences differed, these waters mingle, signifying our common humanity. Today you came and you shared in this community. May you depart this sacred space, which we honored with our first hymn. May our hearts be filled with hope for new beginnings, a fresh start. And may you go forth into the community where rivers of tears may be shed, where dry souls are watered, where your joy bubbles and your life cup overflows, where deep in your spirit you have found in this place a home, because all rivers run to the sea." After we hear our postlude, please stay for a joyous potluck.
think we need